Hello, bloggers. Welcome to this episode of the Blog Chronicles. I am your host, Matthew Loomis. This show is sponsored by BuildYourOwnBlog.net, the full-service destination for people who want to start their own WordPress blog and achieve long-term success. Today we're going to be talking with Wade Harman. He is a web business consultant specializing in social media psychology. He is also a keynote speaker and hosts the Social Brain podcast. Today, we are going to find out about a new online community Wade is starting called the Think Tank, a place where people from all over the world are coming together to share social media marketing tips and trade secrets. This new community is also a great place for bloggers and online marketers to find lots of networking opportunities to help one another build their online businesses. Wade provides a lot of insights about social media psychology on his blog and in interviews like this one. Today, I want to ask him how bloggers like you and I can benefit by using social media psychology and what the think tank can do for bloggers too. So let's find out by adding Wade Harman to the Blog Chronicles. Hi, Wade. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Matthew. Hey, so good to be on the show today.
Yeah, I've been wanting to talk to you for a long time.
Yeah, man. I mean, I know we've kind of seen each other in passing, and I love what you do. I love your podcast. I love what you do on social. It's pretty awesome, man. So it's really great to be here.
Great. Yeah, I really enjoy what you're doing too, and that's why I wanted to have you on today. Let's go ahead and start by focusing on a really exciting project that you've started, and it's called the Think Tank Community. And this is a place where online business owners, solopreneurs, and bloggers can congregate to focus on social media psychology strategy. So I want to start there, Wade. You know, what precisely do you mean when you say social media psychology strategy?
Well, actually, it sounds funny. I understand that, and there's a psychological emotion that happens every time you post something on social. Mm-hmm. So whether you know it or not, your update is affecting someone on a psychological level. And one of the many reasons I built this community was, for the members to be able to get a sense of how these psychological triggers work and how to use them. Mm-hmm. For instance, 90% of all purchasing decisions are made subconsciously, and that's a pretty big, purchase, thing there. And products that evoke emotions, they will always win with your customers. George Lowenstein, he says, a major part of our brain is busy with automatic processes, not conscious thinking. Ain't that funny? So when you think about it,
explains a lot.
Yeah, your target audience is not really thinking, clearly when they're seeing your stuff. A lot of emotions, are coming out of these people, and they're less, well, to say it bluntly, less cognitive activities are happening in the brain. And George Lowenstein, he actually proved this. He says our brains, they usually run on autopilot, despite making us believe we really know what we're doing. So our subconscious explains that our consumer behavior is actually a whole lot better than our conscious brain. And so 90% of all purchasing decisions are not made consciously. And, when you put it into perspective like that, you start to unfold and peel back these layers behind your target audience. And you say, well, how can I grab this person? How can I make this person do what I want them to do on social media? Because we all know social media is the front door to our content. But why aren't they coming in? And so if they're not coming to your, quote unquote door, if they're not coming through your door, then you're not impacting them on a positive psychological level. You are impacting them on a psychological level. It's just not positive. So one of the things that I like to express with the members of my community is to help them learn positive psychological triggers that their audience can embrace and love, and it helps them. It makes them excited, and it gets them into the story of their content and their product. And so that's one of the things that we major in over in the think tank community is to make you smarter, and not just a smarter marketer, but a smarter marketer that understands a little bit more about the brain of their target audience and their consumer. You can see these experienced marketers like Amy Porterfield, Jay Bear, Mark Schaefer. These guys are top dogs in my specific industry,
Mm-hmm.
and you can watch them. And Amy Porterfield gets 200 likes on Facebook almost every time. Mark Schaefer, 17, 20 something retweets almost every time. Same with Jay Bear. And you
Mm-hmm.
look at those guys and you said, how are they doing that? And you automatically think, well, they've got the experience, they understand. And that's exactly right. They have learned what their target audience responds to.
Yeah.
And so whether they know what they're doing or not, they've used that experience in those testings to say, okay, I need to do this and not this, and then that will cause that great reaction that I need. And so that's what we try to teach over at Think Tank.
I can't help but go back to your analogy about the door. Do you think what you do is you help people like paint their door with a better color, like put some decor on the door, brush away the cobwebs to make that door more attractive and appealing to get people to walk through it?
Yeah, most definitely. That's a great analogy. And it's I see a lot of um, people just getting started
Mm-hmm.
in this online business. And while you may have such a great product out there, and it could be life changing to somebody's business, or whatever it may be, it could be the greatest thing out there since sliced bread. But if people aren't paying attention to you, it doesn't matter. You could be selling a pile of dirt.
Mm-hmm.
It's the way you position that door, and you got to leave it open a little bit so people can come in.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, when people become a member of the think tank community, what do they get with that membership?
Well, uh, this is a labor of love for me. One of the first things that they get is excuse me, is the opportunity to build relationships with other people in their industry. And I think this is the most important thing. Social media psychology aside, that's one of the aspects of the community is the psychology angle. But
Mm-hmm.
this is a community hub that helps each other broaden their social reach, build their business, and build relationships with each other. I have a members area where the community members can go and introduce themselves, talk about their business problems. What do I need to do with this? And you've got this hub of support all around you. Now, when I first started in this business 5 years ago, I didn't have anybody, and
Mm-hmm.
I understood that I needed those people. And you can't, anybody that's ever made it to the top has made it to the top with friends, with people of like-mindedness that, have walked up that mountain with them. And so I think the most important thing is you're going to be around people that want to help. You're going to be around people that want to build relationships, people that want to share your content. And I think that's, the main hub of it. Secondly, and this is the fun things we do here. Uh, you also will get a free live class every month that pertains to your business needs. So, for example, this month we're going to have a Twitter advertising expert come in and do a class on how to get the most out of your Twitter ads without spending a lot of money. And so I like to angle this from a small business perspective, solopreneurs, people with 1 to 5 uh, employees. And so I like to angle it like that. And so after Nick comes in and he shows us his Twitter advertising strategy, I'm going to come in and I'm going to show you uh, which ad spots to take for on a psychological level. I'm going to show studies on how people click on Twitter, what causes the click, what causes that conversion and the lead. And so that is things that I really get into. I'm a geek when it comes to teaching and helping people. So I really am enjoying that aspect of it. So you got the class every month. You have the opportunity to build relationships with people every day.
Mm-hmm.
And you also get free business booster classes where I bring in one influencer every month, and you can come into that class. Well, I call it a class. It's more or less a brainstorm, and you come into this brainstorm, and you can just pick that influencer's brain. What did you do with this? How did you make it to X? Whatever you could ask those people, and that influencer is going to explain some very important things. And as you know, people like Mark Schaefer and Jay Baer, they get a lot of money to sit down and have a consulting talk with one of their clients,
Mm-hmm.
and this is included within this membership. And so another thing is I put you in a drawing for a free social tool that will help you build your business. Like for example, where you have Buffer as a paid tool, you have Social Warfare as another social sharing tool.
Mm-hmm.
There's a ton of tools that are out there that can help your business. But again, I'm being nostalgic when I do these things because I can remember 5 years ago I didn't have the money for all this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and so if I can give this away to the members to help them, then that's going to make everybody happy, make everybody feel better. And so you're going to have the opportunity to get a free tool every month. Um, and really, it's just an opportunity to collaborate with others that, really want to help and really want to build each other up. Like guest posting and blog interviews, just like this one. And, you know, I have this 7-step process plan to build their business. And one of the first things in that plan is figuring out how to achieve the goals they need to reach. And so I understand, and you understand this. When you first get started, you're so excited. You're wanting to change the world and just blast your message out to millions of people. And all of a sudden, you do that first social post, and that links back to that blog post, and all of a sudden, you realize I got 5 people came.
Crickets.
So it puts it puts it into perspective. And so I really want to show you how to really target that audience.
That's great. Let's dive into some specific examples of some topics and tips that you'll be teaching members, or things that not just you, but things that think tank members will be learning. Can you tell us some tips?
Yeah, sure. I will be bringing in, like I said, certain influencers every month to talk about their own experiences with social media and blogging, content marketing, what have you, in these live classes. And over the next 6 months, I have some influencers lined up to talk about getting the most out of social posting, how to use visual marketing to your benefit, how to do Facebook ads on a budget, Twitter ads on a budget. I've got a Pinterest expert on deck, and someone is also going to come in and share how they built their online business. So it's a lot of different explanations that pertain to your small business with, inside of these classes that the topics cover. And, I also allow the members to choose which classes they would like to learn about that month. So, but, since it's just now getting started, I felt like I should get together some tentative classes until the members got the feel of everything and started asking for classes. But I do have those tentatively set up.
Wow, that sounds amazing. So you also talk about, you mentioned earlier the community aspect. You offer the ability for members to get together with other people in their niche and form even mastermind groups, which I think is really cool. How can you talk more about that?
Yeah. And as I've said, this is the most important part of this community. It's helping people meet other small business owners in their niche. It's very important. One of the things I always wished I could participate in was a member site like this one. And in the back of my mind, I always knew this was the way to get on the fast track to success online with my business and my blog. Because really, when someone is in a group, or you could call it a clique, you always see certain people sharing their content, and it's always these people are congregating together. They're talking to each other all the time. You can see them in the comments section. They're always grouped together.
Can you give
And
us an
it's
example of that?
well, I don't want to name any type of names. Is that what you mean? Or
Well, okay, then like a business or a niche. What niche do you see that in?
well, I see it a lot in the excuse me, in the content marketing niche
Mm-hmm.
and in the social media niche, and it's when you talk about clicks, you automatically think negatively,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but it's not negative to do something um, that the human emotion wants to do. So we're more like the animals than we care to admit. We want to flock. We want to gather. We're a
Mm-hmm.
gaggle of geese. We like the company of other like-minded people.
Yep.
And so that's that's one of the things that makes your content um, just blast out when you can have these people um, on your side and pushing
Hmm.
your content. And when I would see this, it's usually people with large amounts of influence that are
Mm-hmm.
always sharing each other's content. And normally it takes a really long time before you can get to that level. And with the cost of what those member sites were back then for me that I wanted to join,
Mm-hmm.
I really couldn't afford it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm going nostalgic with this member site, because with this community, it allows you to build those relationships and have the benefit of a group behind you, that click. It allows you to flock together. The birds of a feather are flocking together. And if you
Mm-hmm.
need help and you're like, hey, I've got this piece I need some help on. And, you've got other people that'll say, hey, I can write a post, a link to you,
Mm-hmm.
and I can have you on my podcast and you can come promote. And it's just, you think about it. You always see the same old people going on the same old podcasts over and over and over again. And it's because they have a relationship with that person. That person trusts them. They trust their influence. They trust their reach, and their followers trust that person too. And
Mm.
so with this community, you're actually allowed to just flock together. It's recommended to do. And you
Mm.
know, that's a great opportunity for you to be able to do inside of a community, because you have the opportunity to get to know each one and
Mm-hmm.
help each other, and that's the key.
Yeah, you've pointed out guest posts and podcast interviews, which is a natural, organic thing that can arise through these relationships. What are some other business opportunities that the think tank provides?
Well, one of the things that I've always been blessed at doing is building relationships. And I actually was on a call with a guy just 20 minutes before we started the podcast, and he blames it on my southern charm or whatever. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the story I just told, with me wanting to be in that membership site,
Mm-hmm.
I knew I wouldn't get anywhere by myself, and I needed help. I really needed help. And I just come out of the coal mines, for crying out loud. I didn't know anything about online marketing, and so
Hmm.
I needed help with people with large followings, people that had trust with their audience. I needed those people to share my content so my voice could be heard quicker. And so
Hmm.
I began to stop blogging so much. I still blogged. I was blogging 3 times a week, and that's a lot. That's a lot to blog. It really is. And I
Mm-hmm.
guess that was one of my first mistakes that I made. I was blogging so much that I wasn't getting out there, and I wasn't building relationships and building my rapport with people and my influence with people. So I began to understand that I needed to start building relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm blessed to have a lot of different resources at my fingertips. And, I have built those relationships with a lot of people, from average Joes like me to, influencers like Jay Bear. And and understand the way a small business owner can go to get their voice heard online. So you asked me the question, guest posting, podcast interviews. In other words, I've got friends that I've worked deals with
Mm-hmm.
to allow these members the opportunities for guest posting and the podcast interviews. And, mind you, if your content writing or interview skills aren't where they need to be, that's what the community is for, to help you get to that point
Mm-hmm.
where you can take the ball and let me say, hey, so-and-so, this person is in this niche. They're talking about this. I believe that this person will be a great guest for your show, or could do a great guest post for you. And, then I give the ball to you. And, there, again, the think tank community is to build you up to that point. It's not, you could come into the community and say, hey, I want a guest posting opportunity, and I could get you a guest posting opportunity. Those are a little bit easier. But you couldn't come in and say, hey, I want a podcasting thing. You couldn't do that without giving samples. You know what I mean? Because if I don't know you, I need to be able to research and understand what it is that you do in your niche. And but there have been, with my experience at Social Media Examiner and researching people for the stage on Social Media Marketing World, there have been instances where people do get that chance right out the gate. And so I'm not saying it can't be done, but I am saying that, if you're willing to work, then you will get the opportunities that, I'm allowing the extension of my relationships for this community. And that's what I want. I want people to just flock around in this community and help each other. And so I have to lead by example.
So your website says that you help people grow in 5 areas. I think it's 5 or 6. Content writing, social media posting, visual creation, understanding their audience and what they need, and lead generation, getting visitors to opt in. Can you talk a little more about this?
Yes, and this again shows where you're at with your business, and we've got a couple of different levels that you can start at, depending on your level, and we tailor those live classes to each ones of these topics. And content writing, social posting, visual creation, you could possibly even call that, one class, and then we could dive real deep with one class just on content writing, the emotional triggers of content writing, how to capture your audience, how to have their reader read below the fold. And there's more than just these, like the lead generation you talked about. I will be bringing in influencers from each specific topic to explain, in a way that is, can be learned and can be applied that very same day. Because in my opinion, there's no need to have a class if it's just having a class for the class sake. And so that's one of the reasons why it took me 6 months before I even launched this community to get these people on board with the topics and the classes. And I had to research the right people to come in and tell these stories. And it's not, it's not going to be every time it's not going to be an influencer like Mark Schaefer, but it's always going to be the person that's the best suited for that class. And we've got people that are moving up in the industry, and then you'll probably hear people teach classes that maybe you've never heard of before, but they're an expert in their field. And so the monthly classes are really where the meat of this content is coming from. And then the members area inside the community will have business discussions about the classrooms. And if you have questions, if you're stuck on something, there's even an area in the members area called content analysis, where you can bring your blog post to us before you publish it,
Mm-hmm.
and you can have different experts look at it and grade it. Now, be warned, if you don't like constructive criticism, this probably isn't the right thing for you. But if you enjoy getting better at something, if you enjoy honing your skill, then this is exactly what you need as far as the content writing goes. There is topics inside the members area that cover each and every one of these: the content writing, the social posting, the visual creation, and lead generation, and how to target your audience. There's I can't remember. There's probably 60 topics in there that you could write, that you could talk to and discuss with your colleagues about.
Wade, this all sounds pretty incredible. What would you say to someone listening to you right now who maybe just started their website, their blog, like a month ago, and all of this information, they're feeling a little overwhelmed and they're feeling a little intimidated? You're mentioning people like Mark Schaefer, which they may not even know who Mark Schaefer is, or whoever you're mentioning, and they go into the think tank and they may feel kind of intimidated. How would you, what would you say to them to help them feel a little more relaxed and confident to go into the think tank?
Well, one of the things that I would say to you right now that's listening is, I understand exactly where you're coming from. I mentioned this before. I used to be a coal miner, and I had no idea that I was ever going to be an online marketer. I had a good 9 to 5 job. Actually, it wasn't 9 to 5; it was 11 to 7. I worked the hoot owl shift, but I got hurt, and all of a sudden, life threw me a curveball, and here I am, a coal miner, somebody that never got on the internet until 2008, I think it was. I had no use for it. So I stepped into this job not knowing anything, not knowing who Mark Schaefer was, not knowing what a blog was. I had no idea how to make a blog.
Mm-hmm.
But the think tank community is here, and this is another reason. I couldn't afford those big communities when I first started. I've made this affordable for you, so you can afford this. It's less than $1 a day, and it allows you to see how other people are progressing inside of their business. You don't have to make the mistakes that I made. You don't have to make the mistakes someone else made. And right off the bat, you can start building relationships with people. And it's going to be crucial for your new business, because this community, it lays everything you need to do to become successful right there at your feet. And there's going to be work involved. Don't get me wrong. You just can't join the community and expect to be an overnight success, but
Mm-hmm.
the community is for people who are willing to put in the work to get those opportunities that their business needs. And don't think, I had a big problem when I first started this whole thing. I was a purchaser of squeeze pages. For some reason, 90% was, is a subconscious purchase. I was a good example of that, because when I first started, I had the what do you call it? The itch. I guess that's a good word. I had the itch to make money fast, and I knew that you could. And I would go, I would get on Google and I would type "make money fast," and of course, what would pop up? It would be these crazy squeeze pages wanting me to spend 97, 47, 37 is always a 7. And I would buy those things over and over and over, because I didn't really understand that it was going to cost, I was going to have to work. I was going to have a brand. I was going to have an established influence. I was going to have to build an audience up that, under me, that trusted what I told them.
Yeah.
And, once I finally realized that, I settled down and I understood, hey, I need Matt. I need this person. I need that person. These people are important to me. I'm not I'm not going to say, well, just because I see Matthew has shared something, you've shared something on social, and nope, I'm not sharing that because that's going to point that person to his site and not mine.
Hmm.
That's selfish. I had
Mhm.
all those mindsets. You have to let go of all of that. You have to start thinking about it in a way that, is this going to help my
Yeah.
followers? And so if this will help my followers, then it's going to make them trust me more. I can actually use Matt's content to build my own influence up. And so when you start thinking about it like that, it all starts to just kind of fall into place. And the think tank community is a great place to get started in your small business.
Yeah, Wade, let's be honest, there are other social media educational resources out there. Um, I'd like for you to share, what makes the think tank different than the others.
Sure. I see a lot of small business owners and new business owners and a lot of other people spreading their message on social media like kind of like a shotgun, shotgun,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the shotgun idea, and what that means is they just want to hit everyone with their message. First and
Mm-hmm.
foremost, the think tank community is designed to help you learn who your audience is, how they react to different things online, and what you can do to get that reaction. And there's a lot of educational options for you to try out, and I understand that. And there's some great ones out there, but I believe they all say the same thing. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that they say is they say target your audience, target your audience,
Mm-hmm.
and this is a great thing. This is a great thing to do. But let me ask you this: what if 100 other people are taking that same class and are targeting the same audience that you are? You then
Mm-hmm.
become part of the noise that you want to stay away from. And I'll give you an example. It's like reticular formation. And this is one of the things we teach you in the community. And I want to give you an
Did you say
example.
reticular?
Yes, reticular formation. It's
Okay.
an area of your brain. Okay. And let me give you an example. I can give you the scientific example, but this one's a little bit easier to
Mm-hmm.
understand. Okay. Let's look at Dan. Dan lived in Chicago for 10 years. He lived in Chicago. He lived right by the L train in Chicago, and every time Dan went to bed, and he would go to bed, and the L train would come thundering by, rattling his windows, shaking his house, shaking his apartment. At 2:30 every morning, that L train would do that.
Does
And
Dan
Dan,
like does Dan like to say the Bears?
da bears, yeah, I'm sure he did.
Okay.
But so Dan, the train would come through every morning at 2:30, but Dan wouldn't wake up. Dan did not wake up.
Hmm.
All that noise, and he just stayed asleep. So let's fast forward 5 years later. Dan is now married. He's got two kids, and he moved his family. He just moved his family out to the suburbs, out in the country. And their first night in their nice house, they tell everybody, they tell each other good night. They get uh, their their night clothes on, and they go to bed. And at 2:30 in the morning, Dan is jerked awake by a small creak or a small thump in the kitchen.
Hmm.
Now let me ask you this: why did Dan wake up from a small noise 3 rooms away
Hmm.
and not wake up when the train come thundering by?
Mm-hmm.
Here's why. It's the reticular formation in Dan's brain. It deemed that train noise irrelevant. He got used to it.
Hmm.
Over time, it just kept roaring by, and it
Hmm.
was just something he became used to. The small creak or the small thud that was in his kitchen
Mm-hmm.
was something that his brain wasn't used to.
Mm-hmm.
It was a slight noise, and he jerked awake. And
Hmm.
I'm sure a lot of us have experienced this. You get jerked awake in the middle of the night because you heard something. Your reticular formation has woke you out of a dead sleep and said, hey, pay attention to that. That's important.
Mm-hmm.
And
The fact that the sound was different that's a factor with reticular formation. Is that right?
that's exactly right. And so when you're targeting your audience and 100 other people are targeting that same audience, they're going to find out the exact same things that you found out while you're targeting and you're testing. But the think tank community goes a little bit further, and we show you how to pull people out of their sleep. How many times have you scrolled through Facebook or scrolled through Twitter and you see the same person? They're just, pounding that same message over and over and over again. And you're tired of it. You're sick of it. You don't want to hear that no more. And so you just ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
You're in your subconscious at this point in your marketing experience. You just, you don't pay attention to it anymore. But all of a sudden you see something, maybe it's something visually stimulating and it grabs you. You're like, whoa,
Mm-hmm.
that's what brings you out of that reticular formation and says, hey, you need to pay attention to this. This is important. And so that's why there's a huge need for the think tank community, I believe, because not only are we showing you how to target your audience, but we're also showing you how to wake them up.
Yeah, and nowadays people can actually just go ahead and take you out of their newsfeed
Yeah.
completely.
Yeah.
So it's one thing to be a part of the noise, but you can be silenced.
Exactly. That's a good point. And, you said something, be part of the noise. That's a mistake that everybody makes. I've made it. I'm sure you've made it, Matt.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Everybody makes it. You become part of the noise that you're trying to stay away from.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you have? And here's something that your listeners can apply right now to wake somebody up out of their reticular formation. You target that audience, and you already know that. You already done that. Um, you're going to be an expert on Twitter, okay? And so, but you're not getting any feedback. You're not getting any engagement. So what do? You niche down. Niche down is the way you wake these people up. Yes, when
Mm-hmm.
you niche down, your audience gets a little bit smaller, but you keep niching. Say you want to be an expert in Twitter ads, but you're still maybe not getting the results you want with that. Well, niche down even further and be Twitter ads, but with video. That's a tight niche right there.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do something to cause people to come out of that. And you don't want to be part of the noise. That's part of the problem. You want to be part of the solution, which
Right.
is keep digging. If you're still not getting the results you want, you need to keep digging because there is a deeper niche below where you're at that you need to find.
Hmm. How long do you think it normally takes someone to find that deeper niche that they really need?
Well, that's a great question because that's one of the things I wanted to bring up. With the think tank community,
Mm-hmm.
we dig deep inside of your business and we help you find out what you're good at
Mm-hmm.
and what you love to do because there's no point in doing it if you don't love to do it. And
Yeah.
we try to get you to understand what your audience wants from you.
Yeah.
And, I don't know that there is a time frame you could put on it. Some people, it takes years. Other people, they come right out of the gate and they understand what it is they're wanting to do. One of the best people I know that does this is Pat Flynn. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll give him a plug. It's a smartpassiveincome.com.
Oh
He
yeah. He's
has,
great.
that dude, he is the niche king.
Yep.
And he understands that old saying, the riches are in the niches. And, it while it may not be glamorous and it may not be that romantic to
Mm-hmm.
have only 3,000 people searching for, that particular niche, those 3,000 people are going to have a better chance of purchasing than 300,000 people,
Mm.
that are just in a broad general area. So yeah, that's the best way to do it is niche it down. But I don't really see a time frame per se. I guess it just depends on how much testing and research you do.
Yeah, who is it that teaches? All you need is like 1,000 people, hardcore fans, devoted loyalists, and
Oh
you
yeah,
can make a really good living.
yeah, yeah. I forget who that was, but yes, I remember. I remember
Yeah.
hearing that. Yeah, that's right.
So Wade, what if somebody listening, wants to maybe dip their toe in a little bit, check it out um, before they fully commit? How do they do that?
One of the things that I have is a 30-day money back guarantee on the site. I want
Mm-hmm.
to be completely trustworthy
Mm-hmm.
and allow some people to try it out. And you have 30 days, and within those 30 days, you will be able to sit in on a class during that time,
Mm-hmm.
learn how all the classroom experiences work and how it goes. Um, I'm rolling out a 7-step success business plan.
Hmm.
And this plan actually takes around 7 weeks to unfold. But if someone can come in and take the 7 steps to the business plan and do the work, they're going to start seeing some results for their business online. So the 30-day money back guarantee, while it doesn't give you the whole spectrum on the 7-step plan, it allows you to get in the community and the members area and have some discussion and maybe even get a guest posting opportunity or two and just kind of get a feel for what we're doing. We've got some great moderators that are always happy and willing to help. Anything that you need, we're right there for you.
Awesome. Good stuff. Wade, I've really enjoyed this conversation about the think tank. It sounds like a really awesome project, and I'm planning to be a part of it. So, thanks for talking about that. I want to close with a question that I ask all of my guests. I'm going to have you back on sometime because I think your personal story, is pretty amazing. For this final question, I just want to ask you, when it comes to blogging and this whole online adventure that you've been on since 2008, how has blogging changed your life?
Oh man, it's been a roller coaster. It's been an emotional roller coaster, an exciting roller coaster, everything all into one. It's changed my life. If I could, you know, break it down into one word, it's taught me how to hustle.
Mm-hmm.
It's I've learned that I have hustle, and you don't really know if you got hustle or not until you start a blog and quit your job. You know what I mean? And blogging, like I said, I come out of the coal mines hurt, and it was an option that gave me freedom with my family. I eat lunch in my living room with my kids
Mm-hmm.
every day. I'm home with my family. I take the trash out for my wife. I sweep. I even do dishes every once in a while. But it gives me the freedom
Hey,
that I
I'm
need.
the dish guy too.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
good at it. But blogging gives me the freedom I need to spend that valuable time before my kids grow up and spend it with them.
Yeah.
Because you know what? We've talked about business and we've talked about marketing, but when it all comes down to it, time is the most valuable currency.
Mm.
You can always make more money. You can always start another business, but you'll never be able to get back time. And I think that's one of the reasons it's one of the ways it's changed my life for the better is that it has given me the freedom of time and to choose how I want to spend it.
So Wade, where can people go to connect with you more on social media?
I'm pretty much Wade Harman, Harman. A lot of people spell that with an O. I'm pretty
Mm-hmm.
much Wade Harman across the board. Um, at Twitter at Wade Harman, Google plus Wade Harman. You type in my name, you should be able to find me on a social platform.
Yes, I'll be linking to the think tank and all other relevant points of reference on the show notes portion of this blog post. So, Wade, thank you so much for coming on the Blog Chronicles today.
Hey man, I really appreciate it. This was a great interview. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Blog Chronicles. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe on YouTube or iTunes and leave a rating or review to help other bloggers find us. If you want to chat, look me up on Twitter at Matt Loomis. On the next episode, we'll be talking with a former 7-Eleven manager and father of 12. Yes, I said father of 12, who has turned his love for drawing into a full-time online business. Today, he's a professional illustrator who creates fun and engaging cartoons for various brands, and I'm going to ask him why caricatures, like the ones you see here on Build Your Own Blog, why they're so effective for blog branding and how they grab people's attention and foster more engagement with your online readers. He's also an author and shares a lot of personal stories, so be sure to join us on the next episode of the Blog Chronicles.